And I'm still not over his death to this day, 2 years later. Almost 2 years later since he passed away. And it doesn't feel real to me that he's gone. It still doesn't. Like, I always picture in my head that he's still here with us. The thing about it is that, to me, when Bat and the Sun keeps opening their mouths about JDF, this and that, now I feel like I'm starting to hate these people. So, whatever they say out of their mouths, I don't believe it.
You grew up with Disney, Saban, Neo Saban. You probably remember JDF as his iconic character Tommy Oliver. Now, before his passing, JDF had moved away from Power Rangers, retiring the character Tommy Oliver and wanting to focus on his new project, Legend of the White Dragon. Now, the best way to describe Legend of the White Dragon is, and it's kind of a bootleg version of Power Rangers. It's sort of that tokusatsu adjacent, you could call it.
Like Americanized
It's not
tokusatsu.
quite Power Rangers, but it looks like Power Rangers, if you know what I mean. And this was a fan project that JDF was very passionate about. He wanted to make this his brand new franchise, his own baby, his own production that had no attachment to Hasbro or Saban or anything like that. He could do its own thing with it without any creative control getting involved. Now, back in 2019, Bat in the Sun and JDF launched the Kickstarter for Legend of the White Dragon, and they wanted to reach 500k, but unfortunately it didn't reach that goal. And a year later, they gave the Kickstarter another shot, and they actually managed to reach the 500k mark, which was kind of impressive for its time, because this was launching during the pandemic when not a lot of people had a lot of money, and people were uncertain about the future with what would happen next. So for this Kickstarter to raise 500k during the sort of hype of the pandemic is kind of impressive, I will say that.
Yeah.
Now, with Legend of the White Dragon, JDF was working with Aaron from Bat in the Sun on this project. The two were very good friends, and this is going to be a subjective topic within this video. But JDF was working with Aaron from Bat in the Sun, and if you don't know who Bat in the Sun is, they're mostly known for such things like Superhero Beatdown and Superhero Beatdown. They're famously known within the Power Rangers fandom for doing the Green Ranger versus Ryu and the White Ranger versus Scorpion. Some pretty good videos, I will say that. I do like going back and revisiting them. But not only that, I was like a big fan of Superhero Beatdown back in the day, and then suddenly they just stopped, and it was kind of sad to see him go, because I felt like there's a lot of things that they could have done with all these different comic characters or movie characters out there, especially today with the MCU popping off. I feel like they could have built off that hype if they kept it going, but no, they just stopped the train for Superhero Beatdown. Apparently they were too expensive and they wanted more fan funding. I don't know the full story, but they've stopped after all these years, and then they did weird skits where they're in the waiting room and stuff like that. But
I'll always remember Superpower Beatdowns as entertaining, fun to watch, just to see who was the strongest. But to me, like you said, once they stopped doing that stuff, I felt like they kind of went downhill and started doing, like, you know, live action fan films like the Batman, you know, Legend of the White Dragon, even Power Rangers Legacy Wars, based on the mobile fighting game that I really hate. But now with Legend of the White Dragon, I really don't see how that's going to end up becoming successful. And as much as I want to see the movie, I really don't. Because, number one, JDF is gone. And two, Bat in the Sun keeps opening their mouths about him as if they know everything. Just made it worse for me.
Even the Green Ranger one was approved by Saban and given the sticker of approval from Saban. So much so that Saban and Bat in the Sun worked together
so this
to
is like
put
in
the
2010
likeness
before
of
he
the
sold the
Green
rights to
Ranger Bat in the
Hasbro.
Sun suit in video games and future Power Rangers related projects. Keep that in mind. That's going to be a point of topic that we'll bring up later on in the video. Now, we all know that JDF unfortunately passed away in 2022, but Aaron did make a statement that the movie was 90% complete and he planned on releasing it. Now, I could make a video talking about this movie, how it's taking forever, but that's not the topic of this video. You've probably seen everyone on the internet complaining about how this movie's taking forever to come out. But what this video is going to be about is Aaron's recent post on social media that was leading up to the 30th anniversary of Power Rangers. Now, this is an interesting bit of story. So, around the time of Once and Always, Bat in the Sun, or Aaron running Bat in the Sun, would start throwing shade at most things Power Rangers related, from Boom to Hasbro, and more recently, Amy Jo Johnson. And what this stems from is he believes that Saban, Boom, and Hasbro treated JDF very badly and stole his ideas by not crediting him. Now, a lot of clips I'm going to be pulling from in this video is an interview that Aaron did on It's Francis Baby's channel. Francis used to be the assistant of JDF, and Aaron used to be friends with JDF. So, this is me not trying to put down Aaron. I'm not trying to attack the guy in any...
I am. I don't like him. I'm sorry, but I don't like when people keep speaking on behalf of Jason David Frank. It's like the more I hear about this story, the more I get really irritated about it, because I don't like Bat in the Sun as of right now. Please let the man rest in peace. Where's the proof that Hasbro and Boom Studios stole his idea? I basically want to know.
Not trying to bring him down. It's just my opinion on most of his situation as it first came out was Aaron was making Facebook posts that spoke on behalf of JDF. And when you speak on behalf of someone who's dead, especially through these vague Facebook posts where you're throwing shade at companies and stuff like that and speaking their opinion that we never heard before because they talked about it behind closed doors, it's kind of gross because you're injecting the opinion of someone who's dead, and because you were very close to this guy, a lot of people are going to blindly believe it. I mean, I had no idea about the JDF hating Draken thing early last year until people started commenting on my Draken-related videos by going, oh, did you know that JDF hated Draken? And they started posting it in my comment section here and there. And
I remember like a while back when I was on Instagram, and shout out to Legacy of Nerd, he actually uploaded a video about it, and I had no idea that he actually hated the Lord Draken character, even though I love and adore the character. But it just seems like what JDF was getting at is that he didn't like the fact that his character was from an alternate universe, which is evil, because he's not used to being the evil character, even though he was the evil Green Ranger at one point under Rita's spell. So the fact that JDF didn't really like Lord Dragon is not only shocking, but I thought that he would embrace it, but it is what it is.
That was my first exposure of it. Now, like I said, I'm not maliciously out to call Aaron a liar here in this interview. Watching this interview a couple of times, playing it back, and doing some digging, I found some holes in the stories that he told that kind of contradict what he says. And I'll be showing a lot of that proof on screen as the video goes on. Now, the JDF hating Draken is kind of a weird one because I believe it started when Aaron said that JDF hated Lord Draken because of what the character stood for, which is kind of weird because the character is a villain, he's an evil version of Tommy, you're meant to love to hate him, he's not the guy you want to root for most of the time, and then I've seen a lot of people think that, you know, Boom Studios milked Draken in the comics, which makes me wonder if those people saying that actually keep up with the comics, or do they just see a Lord Draken variant cover and they think that Lord Draken's back for the 50th time in the comics? So, makes me wonder. Now, in the interview, there was an audio recording that's gone pretty viral as of the time of recording this video, of JDF wanting all the Draken stuff to be removed from the internet. He wanted to digitally shut it down, as he says. And IGN gets brought up.
Oh, I gotta hear this.
Also, I think it is very, very important to look at that Lord Draken footage. I own the digital footage. All we have to do is send a cease and desist to take it down IGN and to remove it from all necessary platforms. I own it for once in my life, and we can just tell them to take it down.
Also, I need, Nicole, you to reach out to everything that has Lord Draken on it. IGN, everybody that has Lord Draken, I want to send a letter that I own the digital rights, and they must pull it off their channel. I don't want no Lord Draken stuff out there.
Hey, Nicole, I'm very, very shocked to see the Lord Draken Shattered Grid trailer on my channel. We discussed this a long time ago, and I don't know why it's on my freaking channel. I was going through it, and there's a lot we need to organize. Take that off. Delete the whole damn thing. Delete everything from there. I literally just watched it today from someone else's phone.
Now, we don't know the full context of this conversation from the...
It seems like what was going on with him and IGN, because I can understand that IGN has a bad track record of giving out bad reviews and horrible opinions sometimes, actually a lot of times, because I'm not a fan of those people either. But if they have some type of beef with one another that made them want to release the Lord Draken stuff on their channel, without his consent, I mean, I do consider that, copyright and a huge problem, because if you're not given permission to release the trailer of his comic book series on his channel, then that's a huge no-no. But again, we really don't know what really went down between IGN and JDF. I'm just giving you my assumptions on what really went down.
Audio clip. We just hear JDF hearing very heated and upset, learning that IGN had uploaded the Shattered Grid trailer. And I assume that he wanted to remove it because IGN had uploaded the trailer and they were making money off his work, because JDF was the producer of it. Now, Aaron claims that JDF was never credited for the Shattered Grid trailer, but if you go back and watch
But how
the
do you know
Shattered
that,
Grid
though?
trailer...
How do you know that he wasn't credited?
JDF
Were you
being
there?
credited as a producer, but not only that, there's an interview that Comic Drake did with Kyle Higgins, the writer of the Shattered Grid comic at the time, and JDF wanted to do something with the character Draken, and that's how the short came to be.
Well, it was me and Jason. It was our idea. Jason had been hitting me up Jason and I were good friends at that point. And he had been talking about, dude, I'm doing these conventions. Everyone's talking about Lord Draken. We got to do something with Lord Draken. We got to shoot something with Lord Draken. And I was going yeah, but I can't do a fan film or something like that. I'm writing the official book. I don't know, I don't know what we could do. And then I had the idea of I just saw it all at once, hearing the voices of Rangers past and using existing footage as an opportunity to celebrate 25 years of Power Rangers, but also show this existing footage like they are other worlds, or at least other eras that he's tapped into observing, and then the reveal. I just saw it all. Then it became a process of actually convincing everyone to let us make it. Boom was totally on board. There were people at Saban that were a little hesitant, but ultimately they came around and they were incredibly supportive of it. And we shot it in a day, did all the post on it in about 3.5 weeks. The whole short is 11 shots only, and I think 10 of the 11 are VFX shots. So it was quite extensive. I reached out to Ron Wasserman, who had done the music on the original show, and had, he did the theme song, Go Go Power Rangers. He did the theme songs for, I know he came back, he did SPD. But anyway, he's very iconic within that world as well. And so he scored this promo for us. We dropped it a few days before the...
Off topic, if they manage to get Ron Weissman back for the Power Rangers reboot, I'm sold. Back to the regular topic.
It was a ton of work, but it was super fulfilling, super worth it. And it was a blast to work with JDF. He was really happy with how it turned out as well. And like I said, I have an awesome helmet.
Now, also in the interview, it was brought up that JDF and Aaron worked...
Then why did Bat in the Sun make it seem like Boom Studios and Amy Jo Johnson and them really stole his idea. Yeah, now I have reasons why I really don't like these people. And you got to give Ryan credit for being upfront and honest with us. Give Ryan credit for being honest about what really went down between him and JDF. They were friends when this whole Lord Dragon thing was really popular among the Boom Comics fans out there. When it comes to like shooting the promo, the trailer for the comic book, a lot of love and care that they put the pieces of the puzzles together to bring that promo to life, and they made it work. So if I were to be honest, I think Boom Studios are the key elements of what made Power Rangers comics so good in the first place. Some are good and some are bad, but at the end of the day, Boom Studios will always win regardless. That's why they're coming out with a new Power Rangers series, relaunching Power Rangers. And Bat and the Sun, as far as them, I can care less about them because they keep speaking on behalf of JDF. Well, Aaron keeps speaking on JDF's behalf. And then you want to throw shade at Amy Jo Johnson, Boom Studios for stealing his idea. You capping.
Rise of the Emerald Dragon or Emerald Dragon, there was a lot of dragon-related stories that was brought up in this interview that they worked on. But apparently this Rise of the Emerald Dragon comic book or idea, it was stolen from Boom Studios and Kyle Higgins that they turned into Soul of the Dragon.
So, and then the dragon thing happened and that all fell apart and Jason was frustrated with that. And I was like, let's go back to let's just pitching the comic book again. So then we ended up speaking to Bryce over at Boom, and we were like, hey, let's make Legend of the Emerald Dragon a thing. And they were like, we like this old man Tommy thing, which is what Jason always said. And we started developing it over there. And then they brought on Kyle to write the story, and then we were going to get credited and all that kind of stuff because it was our story. And then the day of, they reached out to me and Jason and said, hey, we're going to press and we're going to announce the book tomorrow, but we have legally changed the story just enough to where we don't have to credit you guys. And then we're dropping it tomorrow. And me and
that
Jason,
was Soul of the Dragon, correct?
And that was Soul of the Dragon, yes.
Now, if you own a copy of Soul of the Dragon, whether it be physical, digital, if you own a copy, in the last paragraph it says, from Kyle Higgins, artist Giuseppe Gaffro, and special consultant Jason David Frank, comes the final story for the history's mightiest Power Ranger. So JDF did work on Soul of the Dragon with Kyle, and he was the special consultant on the story. So this contradicts whatever Aaron was saying.
Yeah,
in that interview.
I know you was
where
lying
he was
though.
saying that Boom Studios and Kyle
They
stole
didn't
those
even
ideas
stole
from
nothing.
him.
So let's kind of just start at the start. How did this project come together? When did you get involved? Who pitched it? All of that sort of stuff.
Well, this one has a bit of a convoluted history in that it's a premise that Jason David Frank has been really excited about for a long time. Exploring something with an older Tommy where he has to become, a ranger again, having moved on from that part in his life, having moved on from that part of his life was something that really spoke to Jason, whether it be in live action or something like a comic. And so what happened was, as the Power Rangers comic line really started to blossom, I know Jason was talking to Hasbro, well, I guess at that time it'd be Saban, about doing something like this for an older Tommy story, an old man Tommy type of thing. So Saban was really excited about it, and they looped in with Boom, making it clear like they would really like to explore something like this, and they wanted me to write it. So I was fascinated by again, that kind of classic Western setup of like the old gunslinger, you know, strapping on the guns for one last job or one last mission. I wanted to do something again that was a contained kind of done in one story, and it's both my way of paying tribute to Tommy, but also paying tribute to Jason and the impact that he's had on my life, both as a child as well as now. I mean, being able to do the Shattered Grid short film and becoming friends and working on something like this was has been really, really cool. And so I wanted to kind of treat this as a thank you, again, both to him and the character, and give him a cool vehicle that, you know, if they were to one day want to do something with Tommy Oliver, you know, here's a blueprint for it, or a possible blueprint, right? Not to say that they ever would, but it now exists.
Now, the Amy Jo Johnson thing was kind of a scummy thing to do, in my opinion, because
And like I said, if they stole their idea, where's the proof? It seems like Saban and Hasbro at the time had a good relationship with JDF. Before Brian Golder passed away, that's when the franchise went downhill. No new information on newer seasons, reboot, or none of that. That's why they put a pause on everything in 2024 until 2025. Because at some point now I feel like you're just digging too deep into information that you cannot find. And you made it seem like, you made it seem like Hasbro and Boom Studios stole y'all's idea when you didn't even work with Boom Studios in the first place. And why would they put your name in the credits when you weren't even working with them in the first place? The artist, Ryan, and Jason Frank, no. The artist, Ryan, and JDF will all credit in the comment, not your name or Bat in the Sun.
Turn Comic was first announced through the Kickstarter, Aaron started throwing shade at Amy Jo Johnson by saying that this idea was stolen. He was going to do this idea with JDF where Jenna Frank was going to be the Green Ranger and it was going to be a passing of the torch story. And then he went on to say that Amy Jo Johnson and Jason David Frank were never close to begin with. And in that interview, he tries backpedaling by saying, "Oh, I wasn't throwing shade at Amy.
Oh, yes,
I was
you
throwing
was,
shade
nigga.
at Boom because,
Stop the cat.
I don't like Boom. But when I realized it was Amy, I take it all back." And then he was like, "Oh, when I meant they were close friends, I didn't mean they were that close, like that close." I'm doing fingerprint freeze while I'm not on camera right now. But you know what I'm trying to get. He's trying to hint that, JDF and Amy Jo Johnson were never friends to begin with. You can look at that tweet or image or screenshot, whatever's floating around, in so many ways, but...
Well, I tell you, the moment he keeps opening his mouth, the more he keeps contradicting himself of what's coming out of his mouth at the same time. I truly don't think he's done his research on the history of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and the cast members. JDF and Amy Jo Johnson were really close during the Jason and Amy were very close during the Mighty Morphin era. The good old days of Power Rangers. Behind the scenes, at the red carpet, on tour. They were like this. On screen and off screen. Statement of what he just said is that first, you came out your mouth and said that JDF and Amy were not really that close. Then you try to backtrack of what you said before. Nah. Say what's on your mind. Say it with your chest. And just be honest. Because we all know you were capping from the beginning.
for him to try and walk it back by being, oh, I didn't mean to offend Amy, I was trying to throw shade at Boom. Now
No,
this one here is
that's
the
a lie.
smoke and gun. I had to search high and low for this one because I distinctly remember this post when it was first announced. Now, one of the things that Aaron brings up in the interview is that Boom Studios stole the design for the Green Ranger suit, or they tweaked it and they didn't credit them, and they're upset about that.
And you know, from your Green Ranger versus Ryu, the iconic new suit came out that
Yes.
was later. Was it canon? Where they were using it? Did they use it in the comic books? I believe.
So it was officially in the video games. We had to go through a kind of a whole like licensing thing for that.
Yeah,
So that's a
okay.
playable character in the
DLC, of
video
course.
games, and then Boom introduced it in the comic books in a very kind of a dodgy way, where it was very similar. And when I spoke to Dan Mora, who kind of interpreted our outfit in the comic books, he said that was the whole reason and was the main influence, and that's what Boom wanted.
Now, if we go back to 2020, July 14th, there is a Facebook post from Bat in the Sun, and I'm going to read it out and I'm going to show it on screen. Here it is. Our Green Ranger design has made it into the comics. Pretty cool. It's always nice to see our ideas in print. Note, Hasbro has the license to use this version of the suit as per agreement we made. Smiley face emoji. It's all legal across the board. That's why also in Legacy Wars, we also stated that we've been working on stuff with them for 7 years. Now, what exactly does this mean? Well, like it says in that post, Hasbro has the license to use this version of the suit as per agreement we made. And I'm guessing this agreement was also made back during the Saban era, in the early days when Neo Saban and Bat in the Sun were sort of doing that approval thing for the Superhero Beatdown video, and that deal just carried over when Hasbro bought the brand. Now, with Boom Studios using the suit, Boom Studios has access to the Hasbro Power Rangers playbox, and they can pull out whatever they can find in that toy chest and use it in the comics if they get the thumbs up of approval. I mean, we've seen Sentai exclusive Rangers show up in the comics. We've seen references from past Saban shows show up in the comic. If they can pull it out of the Power Rangers playbox and they're allowed to use it, then they can. So that's probably the license they had. So yeah, I honestly don't know what else I've got to say in this video. I feel like I've covered everything I wanted to cover looking at my notes. So Aaron, if you're watching this video, hi. I don't hate your guts. I'm just very slightly critical of what you say and how you presented yourself online. I'm sure if you want to chat one-on-one, you'll probably reach out to me in the DMs, so feel free to do that if you want to do that. But if this video gets spun into me being a hater because I'm slightly critical, then so be it. It is what it is.
Nah. I don't like him. I don't like Bat in the Sun anymore. I don't like the fact that they keep speaking on behalf of Jason David Frank. I don't like the fact that he threw shade at Amy just because he claims that Boom Studios stole their ideas when you didn't even work with them in the first place. Both Ryan and Jason David Frank were friends. They were both friends. So it's the fact that you have the audacity to accuse Boom Studios of stealing your ideas. But I don't remember seeing the Bat in the Sun Green Ranger in the comics. And yet I've seen them in the video games. Sometimes it's best for you to just keep your mouth shut and leave the man alone and let him rest in peace. Because now I feel like the more you talk, the more you keep contradicting yourself all over the place. Because every time you open your mouth, I get cringe. Like, I just cringe. it's like it's almost as if you want JDF to be known. I don't get it. Shout out to this content creator. Link to the original video will be down below, and I'm gonna catch y'all.